Hey, what's happening everybody? Welcome back to Anime Casuals. I am Lucky, and today I thought I would go back to something that I had said in a video, like 3 or 4 of my videos ago, talking about those Snow White notes. So if you guys remember, I actually claimed that this was going to be my anime of the season. And since the anime is over for the season, I thought I would give my season end review of it and tell you whether or not it lived up to my expectations. So first off, I do have to get this out of the way. This will contain all of the spoilers. Since this is a season end review, I'm going to expect that you have seen the entire season, and some of these moments are definitely better when you watch them with fresh eyes, meaning you've never seen anything or you just didn't expect it. So yeah, spoiler warning for anybody who has not seen any of this season. This is not why you should watch or anything like that. If you want to do that, then maybe watch my other video that doesn't have nearly as many spoilers. So I already talked about the story a little bit in my last video on those Snow White notes, but just for a little refresher, so we are following Setsu Sawamura as he is mourning the loss of his grandfather Matsugoro, who was a legendary shamisen player, but kept it mostly to himself. Only the people in his village and his family really knew how good he was. So he ends up going over to Tokyo to try and get a fresh perspective. He really can't hear music anymore the same way, so he is trying to find his sound. And as he is going through this journey, he ends up meeting back up with his mother Umeko, who wants the world to know Matsugoro's sound, and she wants to use Setsu as the conduit for that sound. But as we know, Setsu's grandfather Matsugoro actually wanted Setsu to find his own sound. And I really didn't expect this, but that actually becomes a very key factor in this whole anime, and you start to realize that this is actually the main villain in the anime, is actually Matsugoro's sound, and Umeko trying to push that onto Setsu. So I will be honest with you, episodes 5 and 6 were not my favorite of the series, mainly because they focused a little too much on the Shamisen Appreciation Club, a little bit more than I would have liked. I would have liked it if they would have focused on my boy Setsu, but you know, it wasn't unbearable or anything like that. There was still a lot of shamisen playing, and you know, you could see them practicing and really getting better. So there were some moments in that I did very much enjoy. There's also a very strange shift in episode 5 or 6 where they actually switched the song from Blizzard, which was actually great, because not only did it have an awesome shamisen solo in it, it just really encaptured everything about the anime, but it got changed out with another Burnout Syndrome song called Ginsekai. And it's not a bad song by any means, but it just didn't really feel like it fit. There was no shamisen in it. There was nothing really to show for it. And it feels like it was just there to kind of introduce the other characters in the Shamisen Appreciation Club. And then all of a sudden at episode 12, they brought back Blizzard. I don't know why you didn't keep Blizzard the entire anime. I thought it was a perfect song, and they kept the same outro for the entire anime. So I don't know if I should be reading into it a little bit more. Maybe there is some type of metaphorical value of that, but I just couldn't really find it. And I thought it really changed the tone a little bit too much for me, because I was usually skipping the intro for Ginsekai, but when Blizzard came back in episode 12, you know, I had to listen to that shit. Now, moving on to the shamisen competition that Umeko ended up putting out, it is called the Matsugoro Competition, mainly because she wants Setsu to imitate Matsugoro's sound so everybody knows how great he is. This is a really cool idea, and I thought it was executed really well, especially since we get to see a bunch of different people with different playing styles. I think one of my favorite contestants of this entire competition was this guy, Ushio Arakawa, mainly because he has this really original style, and he calls it like the Arakawa twang, where he's just sliding up and down the neck of the instrument, and it sounds so fucking awesome. And it sounds so awesome, I need to show you like a little bit of it. Obviously I can only show you a little bit of it because of copyright issues, but you guys gotta hear some of it. So getting back to the story elements of this, we do figure out that Ryugen is also, as well as being the father to Mai and Suichi, is actually the real father, or the blood-related father, of Setsu. And we also figure out that Mai and Suichi are adopted, so they're not actually blood-related or anything like that. But it was interesting to see that they actually pulled all these characters together in this very interesting way. I didn't actually expect it to go that deep into this, but nonetheless, it was actually very welcomed, and it added a little bit more to the drama, because we figure out that Suichi is much more of a rival to Setsu than Seiryu is, mainly because Suichi is around Setsu's age, and also since they do share the same father. I mean, obviously one is adopted, one is not. It does make it a lot more interesting. Also, we learn that Ryugen wants to pass down his shamisen style to Setsu at some point, and Umeko does not. And it's actually very interesting to see these two duke it out, because in reality, this is like an age-old dilemma, right? When parents end up putting pushing their beliefs onto their children. And instead of letting their children learn their own identity or figure out what they want to do for themselves, they end up pushing their own beliefs onto these kids. And I think that's what really led to the powerful performance that Setsu had at the very end, where at the beginning of the song, he ends up imitating Matsugoro's sound because Umeko is pushing, saying that even, hey, I created this tournament just so I could hear Matsugoro's sound and I could have everybody in the world appreciate it. But here you are trying to play your own stuff, you know, don't do that. And Setsu does go along with it for a little bit, but then he ends up awakening and trying to do his own sound in the middle of the song. And it's very interesting to hear the two different styles. They actually did a really good job of showing the differences between the two. And it actually did, even to somebody with an untrained ear for shamisen, it actually did sound a little bit different to me. And I was like, oh, this is very cool. And it was very awesome that in the end, that actually ended up hurting him, and we figure out at the end of the series that he ends up getting a 3rd place because of the sudden style switch. It was so heartbreaking to see Setsu go through all of this disappointment. You know, everything from Umeko dropping the trophy that she was going to give to him and then calling him a disappointment right on stage, to his father Ryugen just telling him, hey, I knew this was gonna happen, I knew you weren't gonna beat him, and even Seiryu coming over to Setsu at the very end and giving his own input. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but after a competition, the last thing I want to hear is somebody just criticizing me even more for all the things I did wrong, you know? And seeing Setsu really go through this really depressive slump, and us not really getting an answer to it, right? The series ends with him literally going to pick up his shamisen. You know, we assume that he has figured out what his own sound is, but we don't know. So that's why I'm really hoping for the season 2. And listen, I do not regret saying that this was my anime of the season. I don't know about you guys, but season 2 I think is gonna be a banger. If I had to give it more of a numerical score to it out of 10, I'd probably give it about an 8. I was gonna give it an 8.5, but if episodes 5 and 6 hadn't been so slow and didn't introduce me to some characters that I really didn't care about all that much, then maybe I would have given it more of an 8.5. But you know, that's not too much of a knock on it. 2 slow episodes out of 12 is not too bad. As always, guys, don't forget to keep it casual.